After working with hundreds of runners with chronic knee pain, I started to notice certain patterns. It didn't matter how old they were, how long they had been running. It even didn't matter if it was their first 5K or their 10th marathon. These patterns kept showing up over and over again with almost every single runner that I was working with. And what struck me the most wasn't the specific movements themselves, it was that no one had addressed these specific movement faults. No PT, no ortho, didn't matter whatever professional they were working with. Because every one of these professionals was looking specifically at the knee rather than looking at the whole runner. Today I'm going to walk you through the most common 3 movement patterns that I see with runners. I'm going to show what they are, why they occur, and how you can fix them. If you're dealing with knee pain that keeps constantly coming back no matter what you do, there's a good chance it's one of these 3 patterns. Let's dive in. The first thing that I always see with runners with knee pain is a lack of ankle mobility. And I get the same response every time. Confused, skeptical, because the pain isn't in their ankle, but what they don't realize is the ankle really dictates what happens each time you land. If you don't have specific ankle dorsiflexion or that knee's ability to go over the toe, you're not going to be absorbing the shock properly with your knee. But here's the thing about the body that makes running injuries so complex, is that the area where you have pain is usually where the stress is ending up, not necessarily where the movement fault is occurring. When your ankle doesn't have the proper dorsiflexion, it's going to have to find the motion somewhere. Often, it's going to come from the knee. So each time that you stride specifically on that landing phase, your foot is going to collapse inwards, which is going to change up the mechanics in your knee each and every step. The most common compensation is a collapse in the arch, which causes a subtle internal rotation, or a collapse also in the knee that you might not even notice if you're running a couple miles. But as you start building your mileage towards that marathon build, that movement fault is going to catch up to you and it's going to result in that knee pain. So because your ankle doesn't have the proper mobility that it needs, your knee pays the price. I've had runners who've come to me, they've been to PT over 3 times and not once did that PT look at their ankle mobility. And it's not because their PT wasn't incompetent, it's just because that PT doesn't specialize in working with runners. Number 2 is underloading the knee. Now, everyone in each rehab phase should be loading the knee in some capacity. And when I ask runners about their strength program, it always falls into 1 to 2 categories. 1 is they don't strength train, or 2, they've been doing the same exercises for months. Both of these gaps really lead to the same result, a body that's unprepared for running. A good strength plan should be progressed at least bi-weekly, if not weekly. Especially if you're in more of an acute phase, you should be able to progress your exercises fairly quickly. Now, progression doesn't always mean, okay, now we need to do a new exercise. Progression could be more weight, more reps, more sets, longer duration. All of these components can be an upgrade with your exercise program. Now, most strength programs are built around bilateral movement, or where you're using both legs. Squats, RDLs, different things like that, which are great exercises. But the thing with these bilateral movements is you can't notice that specific deficit on the involved leg. So using unilateral or single leg exercises are going to be the best way to really expose that true strength deficit. Some good examples of these to start: if you're going on a leg press or a leg extension machine, do it 1 leg at a time and see what the big difference is between the weight. Typically, it's going to be anywhere from 10 to 40 pounds. So try to bring that gap significantly closer, so that way we're not just biasing that good leg and losing out on the strength that our weak leg needs. Every stride that you take, you're essentially balancing and trying to stabilize on one leg. If you don't have the stability that you need to be on one leg at a time, it's not going to set you up for success as you're running. The other thing that I see is runners constantly neglecting the posterior chain, specifically the hamstring and the calves. The hamstrings and the calves play a significant role in absorbing the shock when we're running and helping control the knee. I constantly see runners underutilizing the hamstring and the calves. There's no question that runners need strength, but there's a difference between generic strength training and running specific strength training. When you're dealing with chronic knee pain, generic isn't what you need. We need to tailor these exercises specifically to the demand that we need for running. Here are some of my favorite strengthening exercises that you can incorporate right now. Captain Morgan's, curtsy squats, three-way reach. Try these out in your next program. Last but not least, the third thing, running mechanics. And this really ties everything together because you can have the mobility, you can have the strength, but if you aren't able to coordinate these movements together while you run, it's almost a waste. And this is something that I just don't understand with the running world. Swimmers get their stroke assessed, bikers get their bike fitted, golfers constantly are practicing their swing. So why aren't runners really focusing on their specific form when runners are performing a highly repetitive movement that has a lot of impact with thousands and thousands of steps? Shouldn't we practice that? Most of the time we just go lace up and just run to what feels comfortable with our body. The runners that I work with have movement faults that have really never been coached. And this goes beyond cadence, stride length, but it's really specifically looking at what is compensating for the knee. Are we able to control the force of our landing? Are we landing in the correct spot? What is deviating because of the knee? Sometimes none of these actually feel wrong and they might feel normal. It might feel awkward to change our mechanics because we've been doing this pattern for years. And by that point, runners have been dealing with this long enough and seen multiple medical professionals who have never looked at them run. The first thing that I do with every single runner I work with is observe their running. Not because it's a cool add-on or something that just is fancy, but it's something that tells the whole story of why their knee continues to hurt. This is one of the biggest things that are missed in rehab with knee pain. There you have it. Those are the 3 most common movement patterns that I see with the runners I work with on a daily basis. Ankle mobility, affecting your knee position with every stride, underloading or underpreparing your knee for the demand that it needs, and running mechanics, addressing the root cause that's not allowing your knee to heal properly. Here's something with all 3 of those movement patterns. They're all fixable, every single one of them. It's not a matter of structural damage. It's not a matter of how old you are, how many miles you've put on your body. Every single one of them can be fixed with proper programming. These are movement problems, and movement problems have movement solutions. If you're dealing with knee pain that continuously comes back no matter what you do or who you see, click the link below. I have a completely free training where I walk you through how to correct each 3 of these movement patterns. If you found value in this video, like and subscribe. I upload content specifically for marathon runners with knee pain. If you found any of those 3 movement patterns that you're dealing with, comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.